Sure.
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a podcast designed... it's the wife's speaker. Mine is in the garage. A podcast designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. Whatever kind of La Champ or track dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate. We even think you Drifto Hella Flush guys all right, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussion, tips, tricks, news and notes in the world of low buck racing, and if you can handle it, Chrissy might give you just the tip. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
This is overly announcer voice, Jeff.
I'm mental.
And we are Everyone Racers. Thank you so much for coming back to listening to another peculiar episode of our podcast. I think we're on number 37, which still seems stupid and crazy that we've been together for basically 37 weeks, pretty much. That's awesome.
Yep. Stupid is one word for
37 because there were several weeks we did multiple. Like
so we didn't count them as the next one? That was just a bonus?
No, I'm saying we're probably been on like 35 weeks.
Oh, no, because we
37 episodes and 35.
There was 2 weeks that we missed though. At least.
Man.
Oh. Okay, well that's still a lot. I meant stupid, as in that's awesome. Sorry. Okay, so let's move on. What you working on, Chris?
Well, this weekend we traveled to Cape Cod and worked on getting the boat in the water, and not the race boat, the actual boat, the 17-foot Boston Whaler that we've had for many, many years. So this year we had to do only a touch-up work on the ablative bottom paint because it's ablative paint and doesn't build up like normal, so it's much, much better. I'm very happy we switched to this system. I had to repair
it's a what paint?
Ablative.
Ablative.
So the paint, A-B-L-A-T-I-V-E.
Ablative. Okay.
It's spelled in the notes, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at the notes.
Well, we know that. So, like old school bottom paint, you put it on every year. You put it on, it just kept crusting up until you had about a half an inch of bottom paint on there, and the boat barely moved. And then some poor fool would have to scrape it off. So, Chrissy and I both were those poor fools a couple of years ago and got all the old bottom paint off and switched to the new style, which gradually wears itself away to have a fresh surface always. So, then you never end up with all that gunky buildup of bottom paint on the bottom of the boat. Is that
the definition of ablative, or is ablative defined as something else and that's just features of this type of paint?
I think ablative means wearing away kind of thing. I don't know. Okay. If you hang on, I can right-click it on the notes here.
I was doing the same thing.
Define ablative. It involves ablation.
Thanks for being so...
Relating to or subject to ablation through melting or evaporation, like the spacecraft's ablative heat shield. So and that's really what it means in this location, is it wears away through melting or evaporation of the bottom paint. So it's a lot easier, and instead of having to do a whole bottom every year, you just kind of touch up where it's worn off, and some years you probably don't have to do anything because it's all still there. So anyway, while also there, we cleaned up the boat and had to install a new light and post the driveway and a flower box and just old house stuff, helping out my dad with things. He is 87 years old and doesn't do things quite as quickly as much as he used to, but that's okay. So I can take up the slack for him. And also on the way home, we stopped in Stamford, Connecticut, and picked up a steering rack and an upward control arm pair for the Civic, thanks to fellow Lemons racer Alex from the CFI team, who is so handy and friendly and keeps giving parts to us, because he had the Civic he was going to build and decided he didn't want it because it was a little too rusty. And so he just wants to make sure the other Lemons cars keep living on, so he keeps giving us parts, and we keep giving him hearty handshakes and thank yous and trying to give him stuff, and he says no. So, hey, Alex, thank you again so much. This is great. We appreciate it.
Yeah, Alex, dude, you rock. That's some damn fine racer karma you're building up right there, pal.
I have a feeling he would just be really much happier if we took Civic and every part off of it and took it out of his tiny garage. I'm pretty sure he'd be happy with that.
Well, we're gradually working our way that way. So,
one trip at a time.
What are the rules for getting rid of a car up there in the Northwest? I mean, I know back in the day, the spam wagon went down to the recycling center. Do they get obnoxious about titles, or can you just chop it up into small enough pieces?
Well, here in the Northeast, you do have to have titles.
We're not in the Northwest.
Northeast. Yeah.
No, it's okay.
So
we sold the Wago van. We actually sold it to a guy who was into Wago vans, and when he showed up to look at the carcass had very specific four-wheel drive bits on it. He showed up in his almost pristine '88 Wago van four-wheel drive, and I was like, well, "All right, we're going to make this happen." So,
and he was so excited. He was like, "Yes, I'll take it now." Yes,
I had two of the rare four-wheel drive transmissions. It had all the rest of the four-wheel drive system in it, and so he couldn't have been more thrilled to get all those super ultra rare parts for his. So
it's like when I had to sell my brother's ambulance that had been sitting in my yard for years and years and years. Guy showed up with a International Harvester on body on a 4-inch lift Ford diesel truck. I said, "Oh, this guy is going home with my piece of shit."
Yeah.
Wow, cursing so early in the show.
Well, I'm on fire tonight.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't your first car in International? Didn't you get all nerdy excited when you saw it too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Chrissy, what you working on?
Well, it's funny because I asked Chris what he's working on. Like, I don't know what Chris is working on. Anyway, I was also
Quit breaking the fourth wall, Chrissy.
Oh, like I didn't know. I also spent Memorial Day at the Cape. I washed, cleaned,
Did you
and then
see Chris?
I did. Crazy. He was under the boat and I was on top of the boat. So I washed, cleaned, and buffed the boat as Chris applied said bottom paint.
Buffed.
What? I did. And then, unfortunately, Chris was, since the paint was so easy to apply, then he helped me with all of that cleaning, which was awesome because that gets old fast. We also needed to do some cleaning of the house. Small woodland creatures, bugs, arachnids, and such take over the house over the winter because no one's there, so they live there. And that also included a bird's nest that was created in the eave right at the front door, and mom or dad, whoever it was, swooped past your face every time you tried to get in the door to establish their presence. So all exciting stuff at the Cape. Everybody's trying to move out now that it's summer and everybody's going to be back in action. So yeah, and lots of work. Chris and I are doing a lot of work. Other than that,
Vicky's been put up bird feeders all around the house, so now we have a huge population of fat squirrels, and so she had to go out there and put Vicks Vapor Rub and Vaseline on the bird
feed
feeders.
Any birds, right?
Yeah. Well, and then the ground squirrels are out there, and every time I go to let the dogs out, I got to like rattle the door, so otherwise the chipmunks won't run away, and then they have to deal with the world's fastest Chihuahua and weenie dog charging at them, which is hysterical because some of the squirrels are the same size as Moko, the Chihuahua.
I'm not surprised. Okay, yeah. Mental, as you can, go ahead. What are you working on?
Just keep going, Mental. Tell us.
So, I had neglected my lawn, and I had lost my title of most Hank Hill-like lawn in the neighborhood, so I put an entire week into it. So I went, and I know you're not supposed to do this, but I've got Bermuda grass. Everyone else has fescue. I mowed really, really low down and then went to Home Depot and rented a dethatcher, which weighs like 9,000
It's worth it.
tons.
Mm-hmm. It's so worth it.
It is. And I used to have to do it in Oklahoma every year, but oh God, this particular model in my house, you guys have seen my house at night. It's on a hill. So I had to push that thing up and down the hill. That damn
and it wasn't like an auto one?
Mm-mm.
Ours was an auto one. It would run away from you.
Oh, that was the aerator, Chrissy, that would run away from you.
Okay.
The dethatcher would move itself, though.
Yeah,
this one it would go downhill, but it wasn't enough to pull it uphill, and it would just sit there and chew the lawn up if I didn't push.
I'd like to mention that I do as much yard work as I do cleaning cars at the car wash.
You're really good at it.
And these things they're beyond me why you would even care how much your lawn grows. It just means you have to mow it more. You're all wasting your time.
No.
As a matter of fact, some random neighbor weed whacked my in front of my mailbox, and I was like, man, I was growing that. I have a weed whacker. The guys are like, oh man, poor Jeff doesn't have a weed whacker. No, I do. I just don't care.
It's one of the many things in your tiny garage. Go ahead.
Tiny garage. A good Bermuda lawn will actually choke out the weeds. So that's what I'm trying to do is get it healthy again so that I don't have to do as much with. And lawn grows slower than weeds, Jeff. So it's actually less work when you've got a good lawn.
Jeff's like, hey, it's all greenish and
it doesn't
all
matter.
Similar in height.
What do I care?
I got more flowers than mine. They're little yellow ones, and then they turn into the puffy things that
There's nothing
care.
wrong with that.
So,
I'm an
Jeff,
environmentalist.
you weren't.
I the redneck. How am I the redneck out of the four of us?
I'm an
Jeff
environmentalist.
decorates his trailer for
right.
Christmas.
You're the redneck because you're Southern. I'm just a bad neighbor. I'm an environmentalist. I once read that you should let your dandelions grow because the bees feed off of it.
Where did you read that? 'Cause it sounds to me.
Internet.
That's when he was getting his communications degree. That's what they studied.
That's right.
It certainly wasn't communications.
Flowers?
Horticulture.
So can the person who actually did work on a car say something?
No.
No, I'm not done yet.
Yeah. What is this word? What is this word that is the end of your notes?
Hey man, this is
So-
exciting race car stuff here.
Exactly. So Friday night, being the party animal I am, I'm passed out on the couch by 9:15, and Vicky wakes me up at 10:30 and says, "Go to bed," because I think I was snoring through one of her shows, and she let me sleep all day. And I didn't realize that for the last 6 weekends, I have not slept. I have gotten up at 5 a.m. or some thereabouts, or I was at a race in New Jersey and didn't get any sleep, so I didn't realize how much I needed sleep. And then Monday, I actually did the barbecue thing with the folks. We actually had a traditional Labor Day or Memorial Day for once. And now I'm done.
Very cool. So I had a 4-day weekend, and I was on the chip, so to speak, to get a lot of work done. So on the Friday, when I had the Friday off, I did a lot of lawn work, not weed whacking, but I mowed. I had to get like the lawnmowers.
So you just said like you didn't do lawnmowers, didn't do lawn stuff, and you didn't care.
No, I don't care. But I had to pump the tires up. I had to like fix the lawnmower is as disheveled as some of my cars. So I had to like do at least a quarter of a day of like tuning the lawnmower just to get it to drive around. So I did that. Saturday I began rebuilding Miracle the Miata. So for those of you who haven't been listening way back at our Babe Rally podcasts, in 2007, I bought a $200 Miata, and I have done almost no work on it. It is the greatest car ever. It has never failed me.
You can't see my hand. My hand is up.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
I have done, I think, as much work on this car as you have.
Yeah, it's true.
Because
And probably higher quality.
I swapped all of our good Miata parts onto your car.
I helped
The
with that.
non-Jeff Miata
You
part.
guys were doing like race car things, and I just swapped a whole bunch of things off on there.
Yeah, so it is
The only love that car's ever had is when we sold our $500 Miata and I took
That's what
all
I'm
the
getting
good
at.
parts off.
The
sold
Barbie
them to Jeff.
Miata, that was a great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did a clutch swap once, so I probably did equal amount of work as Chrissy
Okay.
did.
Oh, that's true.
But it's an early 89 build. It's a 1990, and the thing is as reliable as a hammer. It has just always worked.
It is annoyingly
Don't-
reliable.
Except when Jed drove it back from Alabama with no clutch, but
Hey, he got it back, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Slamming
Absolutely.
gears the whole way. So here's the deal. It could sit for 6-8 months. I won't touch it. I'll jumpstart the battery. I'll drive it around. It's perfect. So it is time to give this car away to my father, and he really wants to start doing SCCA track nights and some autocrossing. So all the parts that I've been hoarding for a very long time are now getting installed in it.
Cool.
So I did shocks and springs. I got an Ibach Pro Kit and KYB AGX. It's like the middle ground. It's totally good for an old guy who wants to drive it around. He won't drive it around without a bar, so I have a Boss Frog double diagonal clear view, which they don't make anymore, but is SCCA legal. So I put the bar in. I started doing the suspension, and basically all the ball joints and all the things that can get old are like totally crunked in that thing.
No way.
Yeah, I know. Chris probably has a comment on this.
Well, one time Chrissy and I drove it for something. My impression
We went to
of
go
the
get
suspension-
lunch.
You ran out
Yeah.
for pizza, right?
Yeah, we went to go get lunch for
And
everybody.
basically, the suspension is kind of like a loose, like cooperative
Cacophony?
of parts.
Cooperative.
all generally working toward moving in the same direction, but definitely not
Not organized.
not organized in any way,
It's-
shape, or form.
It's a retirement home of suspension parts that's made for a sitcom. Yeah, eventually they're going to work it all out, but they're not going to move quick.
like
Yeah.
that.
So again, 1989 build. I have done nothing to this thing. I have given it no love. I treat it like a rented
Like a
suit.
$200
and
car?
Like a $200 car, exactly. So I ordered new upper control arms and lower control arms, and the they were cheaper on Rock Auto than the ball joints were at the local flaps. So I need tie rods. I didn't order them yet. Totally sponsor us. It'll need an alignment. It'll probably need a seat. It'll probably need belts. I probably should keep working on it and keep working on it and keep working on it. But time ran out of the weekend because on Saturday, I actually watched the fastest race in the world, or whatever the heck they were saying, at the Indy 500.
It was
and
Sunday,
then,
but okay.
Yeah, it was Sunday. Sorry. I lost track of the days. I had so many off. And I, right after, I think it was ABC was doing was showing it. And right after they showed Monaco. So that pretty much just like, and then I went to see Solo. So I took like one day off to really enjoy like watching things. And yeah, there it is. It's half done. It's in my driveway. It's up on jack stands and covered with the Corvette cover. Go ahead, Chris.
First off, how was Solo? No spoilers.
Meh.
Meh.
Good. Not. Yeah, it was good.
All right.
I give it a 7.
I'm a big Donald Glover fan, so I'm actually
Donald Glover was excellent. Yeah,
because he's got the nerd cred to pull off Lando, so I want to see it.
The acting is taking a lot of beating. The acting was fine. The writing was.
It's Disney. It's Disney cashing in on the franchise.
Yeah.
Apparently, the guy that wrote Solo was the same one that wrote Empire, so you would have thought he would have been all right. But anyway.
Yeah, this isn't a movie podcast, so let's keep going. But yeah, I give it
not Josh's music.
All right.
Save that for Josh's podcast.
Second is, hey, maybe this week you can give Rhode Island another call, see what they're doing with the picture paperwork.
Yes.
All right.
Please.
And
please.
And third, I didn't hear any work on the Avalanche going on. So how are you going to go get a 300ZX?
I don't know yet. Jim is working on borrowing a truck.
Wait. Is that it? Is that the car that people's getting?
I have sent him some text messages and have not gotten a response yet. So we are not yet confirming the deal. So, but he hasn't responded with like, it's taken. So I don't know.
It's not anything. There's no contact at all, which means it's not negative, which means it's not gone yet.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
And I probably shouldn't say this because the guy will probably end up listening to the podcast. But given how that ad was written, I'm not entirely sure.
Maybe I should call him by voice. Chris, when you texted him for the pictures, he texted right back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe why don't you text him then?
Use small words and
don't tell him you're a person.
We are totally about the lose.
I use punctuation. That might have been the problem.
That's
ask if he wants on a broken Xbox and 3 wheels.
Exactly.
And a laptop that you paid $2,000 for when you started school in 1999.
Well, I have one of those. I just got rid of it. Okay. All right, let's move on.
News and notes.
So news and notes.
Who's got anything? I got nothing.
I do. All right. So this weekend was the Salem's Champion Yard Dog at the Glen. And in addition to John Artman, who I've run with before down in Florida, he was doing an arrive and drive thing. And fellow Extreme Experience instructor Josh Jenny was there raising money for breast cancer research. Threw that one up on the old Everyone Racers Instagram. And there's still some time to donate. They're trying to donate he's had some family members that are affected by breast cancer, and they are donating to try and fund mammograms so everyone can get an annual early mammogram, because that is the single greatest way to save someone from breast cancer. So, enough depressing stuff. Chris, I don't know if you saw this, but you boys on the Baller Racing team were actually being pretty baller.
Yeah, like I got to figure out what those guys have in a setup, because having had one of those cars, like the engine bay is tiny. Like it barely fits the single cam that's in it. Like you can squeeze a double cam, but that's it. Suspension parts are non-existent for these anymore. Like your the source
more
is
so than our car.
Yeah,
it's an 87 CRX, right?
Yeah. The
first gen CRX.
The source is Mike and Maddie in Jasper, Georgia.
Yeah, no, seriously. They are like one of the best sources for especially oddball, weird performance CRX parts around. I mean, they were getting thin on the ground in the early 2000s when I built the Challenge car. Now they are like, you can't get them unless you find them in some old racer's basement. So whatever these guys are doing, I'm quite interested to hear what they're doing. So as they came in 4th in A on Saturday and 7th on Sunday. Okay, good for these guys. In fact, they were in A too. And then the Dead Pedal Racing guys with their Maserati Bi-Turbo, God bless them. Third in D on
God
Saturday.
bless them.
DNS Sunday. Well, that's more about right, but still, hey.
I know we mentioned this already, but A is the fast class, right? And D is a slower class, right?
I don't know, because I know they've got like the EC class, which is their exception class. So yeah, and I think those guys are outside of that.
I would think D would be the slow class because that's where the Bi-Turbo was, and that's where the S10 was. So it's not backwards like AER, where the S10 is definitely not in the fast class. So hey, what good for them. And then the Supra, the 94 Supra, 2JZ, that came in 4th in C on Saturday and 5th on Sunday. So I don't understand the classing here. The cars that should be fast are not, and the ones that aren't are, I don't know. Anyway.
Well, looking through this, actually, and they finished 30. The Ballers finished 33rd overall on Sunday. So yeah, maybe they're not following an alphabetical order, and we're just assuming they are. So, folks,
maybe the classes are like SCCA, where the letters don't actually mean anything, because like H or B stock is slower than G or whatever it is. Who knows these days?
Yeah. So hey, folks, if you're one of the principals with Champ Car, reach out to us. Well, we'd love to quit butchering your series, because a couple of us have run it and I enjoyed it. So, yeah. So then the Occam's Razor, one of the guys in the Miata, they got all of 7 laps on Saturday, and surprisingly did not start on Sunday. So I'm going with they tried to rebuild it while they were driving it, which is really more of an Occam's boat, but still, it's a philosophy joke, and I'm sticking with it. But what I enjoyed seeing was the Ketchup, Mustard, and Charcoal team. They actually did pretty well. Ketchup got 2nd in B on Saturday, 4th on Sunday. Charcoal got 3rd in B on Sunday, and then 13th on Saturday, and 13th on Sunday. And Mustard got 12th in B on Saturday, but 1st in B on Sunday. So the condiments, Magical Spinny Triangle RX-7s, all doing quite well. And Jeff, did you see your boys in the S10 Extreme?
I didn't, but gladly you put the notes here. So I saw their truck actually on some social media posts, and it has some awesome looking arrow on it. But it ended up 6th in D class on Saturday, and DNS did not start on Sunday. Right. So I don't know what the heck happened there. I guess they gave up. I don't know. Tuttle Motorsports, more importantly, the Mitsubishi Eclipses, one of them, I guess, didn't show up because they weren't on the stat sheet. And the other one was first class in C and 2nd overall on Saturday. So they did really well.
Overall?
C, yes. Yep. 1st in C, 2nd overall, and 15th on Sunday. So C class, this is again... I literally went to the Champ Car website and tried to figure out what their letters mean. I couldn't figure it out. They talked about VPI. My head hurt. I already turned it off. But 2nd overall in a C-class car.
In an Eclipse.
In an Eclipse, yeah.
Which knowing that they finished 2nd overall, and let's be honest, it's a fairly competitive field at a very competitive track. It's time for you to ask Chris a question.
Chris, can we get a DSM?
No. Because look at what happened to them on Sunday, and look at the fact that the other one, the other one didn't even start.
Never showed up.
Right.
Oh yes.
Where had that Honda do?
The Honda did way better. Yeah, you're right. So I did want to mention, unless is there anything else on Champ? Because I'm going to move on to the next story.
No, that was actually the only big event this weekend. So go to our Instagram page, look up Josh Jenny's photo, go to his GoFundMe page, and just make a $5-10 donation for breast cancer research. Because I think we can all agree that cancer is bad and breasts are good.
Totally.
More than that if you're inclined.
Yeah. So I just did want to mention that the Indy 500, I want to give a quick update because we mentioned a couple of weeks ago that Danica was going to be racing. I did not know a whole lot about Indy, but they had a new car package, and there was not a whole lot of aero. They removed a lot of aero from the car, and there was a lot of oversteer right into the wall, including Danica at about 100 miles in.
Yeah.
150.
65.
65 laps in, yeah, about
laps in. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's 120 whatever miles in, 2.5 mile course. But yeah, there was like 6 cars that literally in turn 2 just oversteered right into the wall, and she was one of them. There was a great fire in the pits. Ended up getting won by Will Power, who's been in IndyCar for 100 years, and it's the first time he ever won the Indy 500.
And as
so
the
it was a good
best driver
story.
name around since
You
Dick
Yeah.
Dale.
You took my
Will
joke,
Power!
Chris. Oh, yes, absolutely.
All right.
It is a
Seriously,
great
like as soon
news.
as we turn it on quickly. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder. We turned it on quickly while we were eating lunch in between much yard work and stuff. And I said, Chris, who's winning? We're like, Will Power, Mr. Power, really?
The only thing would be better is if his middle name was Max.
It might be.
Will Max Power?
No,
I
Max
like
Power.
Will Power.
Max
I like
Power.
Will better. Will Power sounds like he's like going vegan just because. Yes, that was shot mental.
That's Randy Popes, but
Oh.
So, speaking of racetracks, Extreme Experience can put you in the driver's seat of some of the world's best supercars at over 20 racetracks in America and Canada with no speed limits, no shifting restrictions, no governors. Head to xxspeed.com to choose your supercar, find a racetrack near you, and start making a story of your own. They have 7 models of exotic cars to choose from. They have 20-plus tracks at a year-long location in New Orleans, Louisiana, with a 3,200-foot straightaway, still not as big as Indy, but definitely there. Pro instructors like myself, Mental, Chris, in the car with you, helping you explore the car's limits and learn how to drive the racing line, and definitely keeping you safe at every turn. Save 25% when you use the code EveryoneRacers. That's EveryoneRacers, no space. Use that code at xxspeed.com to book your experience today and get 25% off. Extreme
Wait a minute.
Experience, It's
How much percent off? How much?
25%.
That's crazy.
One quarter.
5%.
1/4.
Dang, brah.
Yeah, it's awesome. So go to xxspeed.com. We haven't really talked about them in a little while, but they got great cars. Love everything that's going on.
it's like buy 3 get 1 free.
Ooh.
That's a different way to think
Everybody
about it.
likes that.
Yeah,
Totally.
exactly. Buy 3 get 1 free.
Wow. They should totally sponsor us. Oh, wait, they do.
Oh, wait.
If you like us, please go book with them. It helps pay the bills around here. Mental's
No,
hair
no, it
products
doesn't, but okay.
do not cost a lot. So
It's true. Those Twinkies,
the
only the
aren't
first
free.
ones are free. Right.
He won't eat a
Listener
Twinkie. Come on.
He did.
Feedback.
Twinkies aren't vegan. You
Look,
can't.
Twinkie time is over. Listener feedback
I want to
time.
point out that I have not mentioned that, and you guys both did. So
Yeah.
Great. You got listener
Great.
feedback.
Yeah.
we do have listener feedback.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
Chris,
we're
I
ready.
thought you
Is
said
it me?
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
you just wrote it in there.
Oh,
No.
I wrote it in there, but I
No.
wasn't going to talk about it. Well, anyway, hey, we had a post up on this website about
Oh.
racing with family. Is it a good idea? Is it a terrible idea? Who knows? I mean, Chrissy and I somehow managed to do it. Jeff and Jim somehow managed to do it. None of us have killed each other yet, so that's great. And we had some nice posts. Aaron Linneman from our own team, he and his Uncle Dave, they race in the Cressida, and they do a great job together. So kudos to them. We're happy to have them around. And we heard from Chris Egan. He and his whole family raced their Saab. It's Chris and his dad Bob and his brother Patrick and sister. Oh, what's her name? I forget her name right now.
Isn't it like Chrissy or Christina or Kristen? No.
No,
That was the
no, it's not.
Like, it's on the tip of my tongue.
I don't. It's not on his post. 'Cause
I don't
I'm looking
remember.
at it now.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have been racing with Aaron and Dave for how many years? I never knew they were related.
Oh yeah.
What? Really?
Uncle Dave. It's Uncle Dave.
I swear I never knew they were related.
Like until
You
now.
thought his first
Until
name was-
now. You
You
just
just
said
thought his
it.
first name was Uncle?
Shut up. I never heard him call him Uncle.
Did you never talk to them? They don't call each other Uncle Dave. It's just like
No.
we all
Like,
call him Uncle Dave.
We make fun of
I-
his Uncle
I
Dave.
know, but I just thought it was a thing. I'd also like to mention that Dave's brother runs in Lemons, and they don't talk to each other very much.
No,
No,
they
well,
make
his
fun of
brothers-
each other
his
more
brothers-
They
often.
do. They
His
drive
brother's
by each
definitely
other and-
Done some of those things.
So,
we
I have
we
to
said
say
how
on
not to
both
be
of-
a d-bag. His brother's
Right,
done
we
those
should.
things. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
I just remembered Egan's sister, Jillian. That's her.
Jillian,
Yes,
you're
there
right.
we go.
in both of these posts, they both say not only do they like dealing with their families, that it makes them closer. It gives them time to work together on it becomes like a family project instead of just you in the garage by yourself. So both of Chris and Aaron both said that about their families. So we have some great people that like racing with each other.
And I feel like we'd be remiss if we just don't mention also Chris and Mary, or she's known Dr. Mom in racing circles. They're kind of like the poster children for family at Lemons Race. They bring the kids. They got everybody out there.
There's definitely a lot more, I think, marriages that happen while they're Lemons racers than people who happen to be, like married before they get to Lemons and bring their wife. I mean,
I'm trying to think. Well, West Coast, Sarah and Dave from Eyesore, I think they were together already, but they got married at a race. Sophie and Anton, they got married at a race.
I was going to say Anton, and they met each other through Lemons, right?
I don't remember.
I
don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anton, write us. Tell us what's going on.
I don't think Anton listens.
Yep.
Probably.
But the lesson
he's too
learned
busy
here,
dominating.
That's true.
The lesson learned here, folks, is endurance racing. It's just family friendly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until it's
so,
not.
all right, let's keep going.
Oh, speaking of family, hi, Mom.
Good. Got
Sorry.
it done. I was waiting for someone to do it before I did.
Sorry.
Main topic time. Let's move on to our main topic, when things can go wrong. Mental, you want to start this off since you brought us this topic?
So I brought this topic, and we mentioned it on last week's show. They were running the IndyCar circuit at NOLA, and I came to the end of the back straightaway, and my brakes went. This isn't the first time it's gone wrong on the racetrack, but I did jokingly send a text to everybody, hey, here's a good topic, what to do when your brakes fail at the end of a straightaway. And Chris, who was busy doing probably race car things, went, oh, that's a great idea. We could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And everyone else kind of got the joke. And before we knew it, it actually turned into a good show. And coordinating that, Jack Baruth just wrote a piece, just a few weeks back, wrote a piece on Road and Track called You've Just Crashed Your Daily on a Drive on a Racetrack. Now what? We're going to link that up in the show notes. And then he was on Ross Bentley as well, talking about the same thing. And one of the key points he was making on there is back in the day when you could kind of wad up your car, and then I've been around long enough to see it, and I don't know about you, Chris, Chrissy, or Jeff, if you guys have seen it, but you'd see cars get damaged on a racetrack, get loaded onto a trailer, and then get dumped in a ditch down the road from the racetrack, and call my insurance company. The flip side of that now is your social media everywhere. Everyone knows what's going on, and I even remember back in the early to mid 2000s, if your WRX or your Evo went to a dealer with an SCCA sticker, annual tech sticker on the door handle or on the door jamb, they would null and void your warranty. And Mitsubishi even got busted for local dealers were searching the online results pages of autocrosses and voiding the warranty of owners on that one.
What's funny is that the Subaru WRXs came with an SCC membership when you when you bought them.
Yeah, and I think Subaru of America made most of those cases right when it was brought up to the regional or national. It was a lot of more jerkery by the local the local people. But Mitsubishi, on the other hand, stood by the local dealers and basically told them, no, we are voiding your warranty. So screw you, Mitsubishi.
Nobody likes them anyway.
Now why they make an SUV Eclipse.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting article, and one of the things on there, so I'm going to just go with the three, points on this. Now, underneath there's some good points, and I think, Chris, you'll talk about how to avoid this in the first place. Check out your car, and every one of these is available on any track organization. They have a tech sheet, and you can go through that tech sheet. I'll take the inevitable hit on, hey, why didn't you check your brake fluid? I did, actually. It was good, and I got no signs of fade coming off that 3,200-foot straightaway. Normally they get mushy. Okay, you're done. Pull it off the track. Don't push it till it gets stupid. But you want to go through, check all your stuff. If you don't have a torque wrench, a good torque wrench, you need one, and that's just the most basic stuff. So go through that kind of stuff. How old was the fluid in the boxers? I'm remiss and tell you, I don't know. I checked it. It didn't smell burned. It was still clearish, and I didn't know what kind of fluid. The pads were stock, but I've run on Porsche stock pads before, and I've never had an issue at a track day, so I was feeling fairly confident. And actually, my pads are still good, even after 2 days at the track on that one.
So I guess the point there is, unless you have done it yourself, don't necessarily trust that it was done right. Like its fluid can be looking clean and nice, but you know what? It was the $2.99 a bottle Walmart special that got put in there, and it's not designed for racing temps.
No, Wagner organic power stop fluid.
Exactly.
I think the same thing can be said about if you buy an old French car and the guy you buy it from swears that they cleaned the gas tank.
They did. He
Don't
did it.
believe that. Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Or don't believe they did it well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, Menzel, you got to keep going.
All right, so what are the three things in there? And again, Chris, I know you don't ride anymore. I'm a biker, and I always go back to that. Is you should always have it.
Come on.
Okay, no, yeah.
Downtown.
Menzel, do you have a 10-speed?
No, I have a 7-speed.
It's single speed, yo.
Single speed. All right.
Fixie all the way.
Fixie
Scooty. So on motorcycling, one of the things they'll tell you, and actually if you ride a bicycle on the street, this is good practice as well, is always have an out. When I roll into an intersection, both feet are on the ground. I'm slightly angled so I can go between the two cars, and I'm looking at my mirrors, make sure the guy behind me is going to stop and the guy behind him is going to stop. Where are you going to go? So when you go out on that out lap, and I try to do this with my students, do not go out there and immediately try to set a record. Go out there and do some scouting. Even if you've watched all the videos, having your Mark I eyeball on the track, you need to know where the dangers. Go to the drivers' meetings, talk to the old heads. At this particular instance, the lead instructor, David Shaw, had said, hey, guys, we're running this configuration. We haven't run it in a couple of years. At the end of this straightaway is a tire wall. Know where you're going to go if something goes sideways on that one, because every other place at NOLA is really, really safe. They've got lots of runoff space on that one. The other aspect of that is emergency procedures. You have to practice these emergency procedures. I'm coming out of an aviation background. And my last year, I actually flew on the airplane. I think we probably had 16, honest to God, real world in-flight emergencies. And there was never a big deal because on every sortie, we practice an emergency procedure. When I showed up at New Jersey, because I'd never driven the Ombre, I got in the Ombre and I sat there for about 10 minutes and practiced slapping at the off switch, knowing where everything was. And this comes into practice even a few years back before that when Chris pulled the Datsun pickup truck into the pits at Barber. Hey, Chris, there's gas dumping on the exhaust headers. You might want to get out. And Chris got out of that car in about 12 seconds.
Well,
he did everything right.
You were a little more enthusiastic than that when you had told me I should get out.
I was trying to keep it. Yeah, I was so animated that the track emergency guys came over and made sure.
Yeah, we should have probably done that about 5 seconds later. That's okay. We didn't get in trouble.
The point being is back in the day when you bring the car in, they make you get in the car and they have you practice getting out of the scene in 30 seconds. We posted that video up of the Champ Car race a couple of years ago, and it was a guy, his car, clearly it's an in-car camera, it catches on fire, the guy pulls over and doesn't disconnect half of his stuff, and it's hanging his helmet while he's trying to get out of the car. And no more than 2 seconds after he gets out of the car, the entire cockpit is engulfed in flames. So if you're not practicing this stuff, you're practicing to fail. So when it's a zero speed 1G environment, get into the car. It's Friday night or Saturday morning before the race goes out, and run through those emergency procedures a couple times until they become well practiced and old stuff. And that I know I've gone too far on this one, but
it's all good.
Getting out of that before you get there, just practice before you get there. But Chris, you've got some stuff for what to do while you're actually on the track.
Yeah, well, the number one problem you're probably going to have on the track is that you're going to have no brakes. For whatever reason, you're going to get fluid fade, pad fade, or the rotor's going to disintegrate. Who knows what?
Hydraulic system on your 30-year-old British car decides to fail.
Right, exactly. Or your Citroen accumulator gives up the ghost and somehow you're lost that. So you got to figure out also, first off, how are you going to slow down the car with no brakes without damaging the car? Because first instinct might be, I'll just drop down a gear. Well, if you're going fast enough and you drop down a gear, you are just put your engine way over red line for mechanical over rev through the back tires or the front tires, whatever it's going to be, and you've just you've killed your motor and you can't slow down. So be careful with that. What's up, Mental?
Or depending on the situation too, you could lock up the front wheels, which puts you in or drive wheels, which is an even worse situation because you have no traction now, no control.
So you got to be careful about dropping down a gear. If you were in a gear already, especially getting a straight, you're probably up toward red line. You can put it back in that gear, at least gives you some engine braking there. But be careful before you just drop down a gear out of instinct because it might make things worse. Another thing is we usually keep our handbrakes or emergency brakes in the race cars for two reasons. One, it's really convenient when you're loading them on the trailer, and that's really the main reason. But secondly, if something really does go wrong, you now have a second complete system mechanical connection that will get you some braking. It's not a lot, but it's there, and everyone kind of knows from driving in the street, okay, grab the handbrake. it'll slow you down a little bit. And you can also try to scrub speed depending on where you are on the track. Can you kind of throw the car into a slide that's going to end up safe on the other side too? You don't want to throw it into a slide and slide off the track, but if you can, use your tires to scrub speed sideways, you'll do it. If you just can throw it into a ton of understeer so you're really not going to turn, you can do that too. If there's a gravel trap, for example, like Summit Point, Maine has a big old gravel trap, throw it into that straight and just let it do its job. You're going to get stuck, but it's a lot better than the alternative. So look for all those potential ways to slow down and without damaging your car any more than it might already be.
Emphasize straight and sand and gravel pits.
Well, Jeff's going to talk about what to do when you just have no choice. But like Mental said, knowing the track is more than just knowing where the pavement goes and knowing the lines. That's a great point. When you're out there, you need to know where your escape routes are for all your difficult sections on the track. Think about where it's safe to go and where it's not safe to go. So examples of places that it's bad to go off are like the carousel at Summit Point, Shenandoah. You're just going to jump, and then there's nothing really much on the other side. You just do a Dukes of Hazzard right out the side of that thing, and then you hit a tire wall, and you're done.
Anyone who has never seen this, Google Last Ride the Turbo Taxi.
Yeah, the Turbo Taxi.
It's very sad.
Famous Lemon's car.
Jeff, look behind you real quick.
Yeah. Another place like the Swamp Full of Poisonous Snakes at CMP. Bad place to go off.
Where is that?
At the end of the start-finish straight, at that hard left turn, if you just keep going straight there, you end up in the swamp.
Is there a pond there?
Oh, yeah.
No, the pond is also, also as you're coming out of 3, it's a bowl.
Oh, well, because it's the other side. That's the other side of it. Okay.
Either way, don't go in the Swamp Full of Poisonous Snakes at CMP. Palmer Motorsports Park, wonderful, wonderful track, but if you go off anywhere, you have just hit a cliff.
That sounds tragic.
A boulder, the actual boulder,
rock face.
Really, it's carved into the side of a mountain, and it's incredible until you happen to go off, and then you're done.
Yeah.
So those are all bad.
AER almost died there.
Exactly. But then think about places where there's good runoff from, like Turn 1 at New Jersey Motorsports Park, Bolt Track, big, clear, empty runoff from. Turn 3 at New Hampshire, that's where you turn across the NASCAR straight up into up the hill into the off-track section there. When you're driving up to it, you just have a big wall of tires in front of you. But you look carefully, there's an escape route through the tires. So that'll let you get through to the other side just in case you need it. And some people don't see that, hit them with the hind, but they can take it. It's there.
I thought you were going to refer to go after you go up the hill. So, but
no,
there
it's
is
right as you're coming down
there?
that straight. Oh, if you're going up the hill will slow you down nicely, and there's gravel stuff on the sides there.
Or unless you hit that really big boulder, if you slide off the side to the right.
The boulder that no one knew existed until Swedish Mafia hit it.
Until somebody hit it.
Swedish Mafia hit it right in between the doors.
Right.
Oof.
Like, what boulder?
Well,
There's no boulder
I guarantee they were staring at it going, God, I hope I don't hit it. I hope
no
I don't
way.
hit it.
And
There's
that was
no way
gonna be
you can't see it.
That was going to be my last thing to say, too, on this, Metal. You hit it exactly on the point. Don't stare at what you're afraid you're going to hit. That means you're going to hit it.
You'll go that way.
Every time. Your eyes and your brain work together. Look where you want to go. Let your mad ninja Ayrton Senna skill reflexes get you out of it. But if you're not looking where you're going to go, you have zero chance of getting there. So, if there are 10 turns, one's next to a cliff, the other 9 have plenty of runoff room, where are you going to leave a little bit more room on the table? Think about that kind of stuff when you're pushing.
That's great. Because, like you said, if places where there's dangerous things on the track, you need to be aware and be extra careful in those turns.
Yeah.
So, if you're done, I'm going to go now.
Yeah, no, Jeff, because sometimes, no matter all these things I just told you, sometimes you're just going to take a ride. And
that's exactly why I wanted to come in right here. Yeah. Look, here's the deal, and we're just not talking about your race car. We're talking about sometimes your daily driver, something that you got to get home, something that you have a lot of money in, and sometimes it's better to choose not to stay on the paved surface. Take the L, go off. It is better than hitting someone. And I want to be really clear that you might think, I'm just going to brush door handles with this guy, but that's going to do a lot more damage sometimes than just easily taking it off the track. All right? If you're out of luck, you're out of space, or you're out of talent, don't panic. Now is the difference between wadding it up and going home and telling your significant other why you no longer have a car, or just having a really good story at the car wash. If it's time to go in the dirt, let's just do it as safely as possible. The first thing, and I think Mental already said it, straight in is safe as long as what you're pointing at is not hard. The off the gas, not slamming on any pedal, going into some grass is probably not a big deal. Just don't try and turn real hard. Don't slam on the brakes. Don't leave on the gas pedal. At New Jersey Motorsports Park, 4 weeks ago, there's a guy who spun and he stayed on the throttle. And he went around 3 times right in the middle of this track surface. And I could see that he was still sawing the wheel. There's nothing that you're going to be able to do sawing the wheel that is going to get you out of a spin.
What do you mean by sawing the wheel?
Like back and forth, like
trying to wrestle it. So you're trying to.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm just trying to be
He'd
clear on what
lost
you were
the
saying.
overcorrection battle, and he was done.
Exactly. Hard turning, over braking, flat footing the throttle. All of these things are going to make you spin, or worse. Violent reactions will be answered with violent car reactions. So I'm going to tell a quick story. Last year in New Jersey Motorsports Park, it was raining like total mess. I was in the Avbre. I was channeling Senna. I was like in the top 10. It was fantastic. And I hit the brakes and I started hydroplaning and I went straight onto wet grass. And wet grass is way slipperier even than dry grass. And what did I do? I just went straight. And I just went straight, and I just said, well, this is going to be fun. And I went right into the grass, and it was as gentle as possible. And then when I got there, I said, okay, and this is important, when
Hold
you
on,
get
Jeff.
there.
When you went to the grass, did you brake gas off of everything? You just
off.
Off everything.
Off the pedals. Keep the steering wheel straight, and you're just going to gently slide in.
And
if you go
even
inside,
when you do that, you feel like you accelerate as soon as you hit that grass.
Exactly. It does get a little. But if you touch the brakes hard, you're going to lock them up, and then you could slide sideways. Sliding sideways in soft ground is how you roll a car. Okay. So as you're going in, just look for walls, look for rocks, do your best to stay off them. Sometimes the worst thing you're going to have to do is hit the softer thing. And the softer thing is usually not a competitor. It's usually a tire wall or dirt or better yet, kitty litter. The gravel traps will slow you down more than you could possibly imagine. If you're in trouble, go to the gravel. It's going to be much easier on you than anything else.
It slows you down so much you're never going to get out unless you have four-wheel drive.
It's true. It's
right?
true.
And then you're going to be digging out the dirt of your car, in your car, outside your car.
For years to come.
Forever.
For years. But that's still better than hitting something.
Oh,
Totally.
yeah.
I also want to mention that you need to be aware of where the track is around you. If you go inside a turn and you're about to pop up on the track surface, that's bad news. You have to avoid that as much as possible. And this is where the spins can get you. We see so many videos of someone spinning and they're trying to get out of the spin and they're on the grass and then they're backwards across the racing line. It's horrible. It's dangerous. That's usually when you get T-boned. It's very easy. There's a simple mantra. 2 feet in when you spin. Not if you spin, when you spin 2 feet in. That means clutch and brake down nice and hard. All right? I get in trouble for telling too many stories in Black Betty, but last year in New Hampshire Motorsports, during the testing day, I got out on the last. What's the last turn number there, Chris? 9
onto the straight. 11.
Onto the straight. Yeah, 11. I think it is 11.
11, 12.
It's 11. Whatever it is, I'm not used to high horsepower vehicles with rear wheel drive that actually operate that are owned by Bruce.
Betty is evil though. Like I spun it twice. Darren spun it twice. Like everyone spun it twice until you sorted out the evil handling on that.
Yeah, exactly. I had to figure it out the very first time.
How to talk to Betty.
I downshifted where I shouldn't have. I put my foot down, and all of a sudden, I'm spinning on the NASCAR straight of New Hampshire Motorsports Park. I know what's behind me. It's a safer barrier. I know it's soft, but I know I don't want to hit it. I spun once and I went, oh my God, I'm spinning. I spun again and I said, what's the mantra? I got another half. I said 2 feet in case of a spin. I put my 2 feet in and the car stopped. It works.
Can I raise?
That is our cover photo, folks. That's Jeff pointing at the crisscross skid lines.
Exactly. Chrissy, you want to say something? Go ahead.
I do, yes. So I actually, in the first race, I don't even know, but 30 plus races, I spun. This is the second time ever at New Jersey. I did the same thing. So I was coming down the straight. I think I might have braked in turn, which is totally against the rules, but that's what I did. And I felt the back end going around. I was spinning in turn 1, and I did it. You have 1 second of, oh, I'm going around. Second one, 2 feet in. I stopped right at the inlet of onto the track, where people come onto the track. Nobody there. Still on the pit on. Still on the track, didn't even touch the grass, turn around, stopped in a second.
I'm telling you, it's amazing how fast and how well it works. Mental, you got something?
2010, Honda Wago van coming up the hill at Summit Point. Look down at the gauges, look up, everyone stopped. Both feet in.
Is that when you got black flag twice in the first 5 minutes?
Before the race started.
Before the race started.
The first black flag was before the race started because it was green flag. And I overcorrect, dropped 2 wheels off, overcorrected, bring it back on the track. Nope, we're doing everything wrong. Both feet in, swapped ends. God loves fools, drunks in the military, and I was all 3 and didn't hit anything.
Well, there you go. So I think it's just important to remember, hey, sometimes take the L and just do it the right way. Now, here's what happens. Once it's done, it's over and you're safe. The car's not on fire. You're not against anything. This is what I want you to do. Take a breath. Before you do anything, go, well, that was exciting.
And pull the seat cushion out of your butt.
Give a little shake, then look around, okay? Now, if you can see a flag station, they will typically look at you. They will look for a signal. If you give them the thumbs up, they're gonna tell you when it is safe to re-enter the surface.
This is as long as you're actually off the track.
If you're off the track, that's
because you can spin if you're on track. Don't take the breath. Figure out how to get off there. So
don't move yet. Don't move yet.
You're better off being a fixed position thing for people to go around.
Exactly.
Before you unknown moving.
Before you leave. Mm-hmm. Don't move until you're sure it's safe. Okay? And I'm going to tell you another thing. If you're on the grass and you really can't see down the track clear enough to know whether you're clear, drive to where you can off the track. Don't just re-enter the track. A lot of times the guy in the flag station will give you like the finger up to be, wait a second, and then point when it's clear. Trust those guys. They know what they're doing. Take a breath, then re-enter. 2 feet in when you spin. Know what's going on. Preach. Mental, you got something?
If your car is not capable of getting back onto the track, something broke, your brakes have gone bad, something like that, and that corner worker is staring at you, a wave, hey, I'm not dead, I'm not injured, or another good signal is while staying in the car, for goodness sake, stay in the car. Stay in the car. While staying in the car, drop your window net. That's a universal sign to corner workers of, I'm okay, I'm just waiting on the tow truck.
Yep.
And last thing before on this is, if something's wrong with your car that you notice and you're still moving, get yourself off the damn track, get off the racing line, and get near a corner station. That's it. Stop.
Yep. Don't be a hero. Wait for the tow.
All right. Let's get Chrissy's input.
Okay.
She's waiting.
Well, I was waiting, and we talked a lot about what we should do on a racetrack. I went with a different approach. I'm going preventative. So how to try to get yourself not in an emergency because you're already doing things to watch out for something that's going to happen. It might happen. So this is all preventative. So I work in safety, as many of you know, and I deal with trying to keep drivers from hitting stuff. That's part of my job. So we implement a thing called Smith System. Not sure if you're familiar. And there are 5 principles of safe driving. And the one that really stuck out to me was number 4, and is keep yourself an out. This means you're ensuring that other drivers don't box you in. While you're driving a race car, you never know what other drivers will ultimately do, but leaving yourself a buffer, even if it's tiny, even if you know where your car is, you know where the other car is going to be, or you think they're going to be, it could be a crash or not. try not to follow other vehicles so closely, anticipate what they're going to do, and try to figure out what they're going to, the choices that they're going to make. So there's the other two parts of the Smith system techniques that I thought are good for this is keep your eyes moving and make sure that they see you. So if you're constantly watching cars around you, you can determine their moves, anticipate where they're going to go. But there are some teams that we all know that you may never be able to get and figure out where they're going because they're kind of crazy. But you can always try. This is just best practices. Lastly, make sure they see you. So if you're extra slow or you're running with the front runners, the opposite ends of the spectrum, other drivers may not accurately see you. So make sure that you're running, because you're not running with the majority of the traffic. Be consistent. If you're slow, stay the one side of the track, which we've always done with our C-Class cars or our very slow C-Class cars. And if, as we've all said, if you're dead, get off the track. Don't be on the track surface at all. But if you're fast, establish yourself, your presence. Make sure you're seen. Step off and get around safely when you're out of a corner in a braking zone. So I'll post a link in our notes about this stuff, but I was trying to figure out how you can try to be safe and not even get into an emergency.
And
a lot of that is... Go on, Chris.
That last point, Chrissy, you made, I think was great. And that's something I had to kind of learn as our car got fast, is how to pass people safely and effectively. Like, you have to get up to the point and establish your presence so that they can know you're there enough to have a chance to make the safe pass. And we were so used to slower cars that weren't, you didn't have to do that, especially once the turbo was working and we were the fastest car on the track. You have to learn that. It was a new skill to have to learn. So good to bring that up. Thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot of that was just good racecraft.
It is.
It's hard to pass a guy when you're an inch from his bumper. It's a little easier if you're behind him making a move towards him.
Which is the joy of endurance racing in the first place. Unless you're doing a NASA sprint race, you don't have to make that pass right now. Just simmer down there, Senna. Those INSA scouts that Chrissy always sees in the stands will notice that you're able to save the car.
That's absolutely true. Because then you're not off in a spin in the dirt, in the gravel.
Going for a ride.
Awesome. Chrissy, can you plug that system one more time? What is it called?
Oh, it's called Smith System. They have actually driver, if you have a CDL, chances are you've gone through. There's a whole week long. There's trainers. I don't know if it's really open to the public, but there's a link that we'll put in the show notes. It's called Smith System Driving, and they have a lot of really good things. I'll bring it back up. We'll talk about it. It's a good thing to practice.
That is excellent and a great time to move into our general safety discussion, the part of the show that we all love to chant about. We all hope it goes down, but we don't always get it. It's called Just the Tip. Ethel is laughing his butt off right now.
Sometimes you're so quick with these things. It's amazing. Okay, so I think we're bringing this back every other week, but I found I'm really excited about this one. So our main topic was how to get.
Someone's really excited about Just the Tip. That's amazing.
Stop! It's me.
I would run into a busy intersection full of safety. Oh. I would get into a stranger's van full of safety.
Stop it. Oh. So our main topic was how to get out of an on-track incident. That's kind of what we're talking about. Most of it was when you're on a racetrack, where do you go, that kind of stuff. But it's probably not applicable to many of you. And most of the time when we're actually driving, we only drive a couple times a year, and we're mostly driving on the road. So I stumbled upon this great article that has 10 common on-road emergencies and how to handle them. And I couldn't put them all in here, so I'm just talking about a few of them that warranted discussion. So emergency number 5 on this list was running off the road. Popular instances for fatalities and spins is what this article said. And if you find yourself with 2 wheels off the road, release the accelerator, keep the steering wheel straight, allow the vehicle to slow on its own, and smoothly steer back onto the road. This is kind of what Jeff was talking about, but we also, I found this after Jeff wrote his notes, so there's that. But also, this is more applicable to
road, yeah.
Everybody. Number 3 was panic stops. So you've been there, stuff's happening in front of you, and all of a sudden you need to stop and avoid it. If you have ABS, stop, stay on it until you come to a stop, and then if necessary, steer. Don't worry about the people behind you. They were pretty adamant about that. You have to get yourself stopped, figure it out, and if somebody hits you from rear ends your car, then that's their problem, and it'll be your problem later, but you have to stop. And then lastly, dealing with a tire blowout. To survive a tire blowout, pretend you're the bad guy in a police chase and you've just run over the cops' spike strips. Push the accelerator down for a moment, drive straight ahead. Turning at a speed will likely result in a spin and you might crash. So they were the couple that I thought was great. We'll put the article link up in the show notes so you can read all of them. I encourage you to consider all of the things that might happen while you're on the road and how you can be safe doing it.
So usually when I run over the cop spike strips, I like hunker over the wheel and laugh maniacally like, ha 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 ha, you're still not going to get me, cop. Oh, never mind.
Oh, and then you get out and run?
Honk out.
He gets out and runs, but he's wearing those extra big pants and he didn't wear a belt. So like every third step, he's having to pull his pants back up.
Just leave them.
That's fantastic. Does anyone else have anything good for the order? Anyone want to talk about what we're doing next week?
Well, we're talking about mental.
Both of you.
Oh, everybody.
One of you. Go, Chris.
Folks, in a rare bit of honesty, we're going to just tell you folks straight up about this. We're working on a couple of special guests that are be determined, but most likely we're going to pull this next episode out of our backside, which has been some great episodes so far. So we're just going to be making this up as we go along. A few minutes before the show, we might talk about some upcoming events. It's kind of slowing down for racing season, or we might actually get more in depth about talking about racing with siblings and significant others and girlfriends. So if you've got some input you want to see us do, also our friend Todd Carver sent us all a message saying some of our favorite tools that we keep in our garage and prepping for the race as well. So one of those three things, we'll figure it out.
Well, we may have a special guest is really the answer. And it depends on which guest is available. You're making it sound like we don't have a plan.
Well,
and we're also
he's not that far off.
Thank you for downloading us. We are all named Chris except me. We hope you enjoyed this special edition of Everyone Racers. I don't know how special it was, but we hope you peculiar edition. We hope you will join us in the world of driving, racing, and building because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts. iTunes, now on Google Play, everywhere you have it. Android for life. If you have any questions or want to give us some show tips, drop us a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or like the Race Team Facebook page, 3 Pedal Mafia Race Team. We are the national effing champions, in case you didn't hear. If you'd rather not venture into the void that is the Book of Faces so they can steal your face like Arya in the world, just email us at everyone.racers@gmail.com or find us on Instagram or Twitter. We're everywhere, but we don't post on those ever except for mental. Thanks again, and until next week, keep the shiny side up unless there is no shiny side. Then just keep the wheels down.